Welcome to Raptor After Dark. This is episode 3 of the program. I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Zach.
And Joseph.
and I'm Brock Gardner, and I will be guiding this river cruise of love into a beautiful conversation about technology. Today we're discussing VPNs, virtual, I always got it wrong. I actually just learned that I've been getting the acronym for VPN wrong my entire life. What is it actually? Is it virtual?
Virtual private network.
For some reason, I thought it was verified private network for a very long time.
I always call it very private network,
Yeah,
just
very.
because it's more fun. But yeah,
So we're going to be talking about VPNs, and you might think, oh, that's kind of a boring topic. Guess what? You'd be wrong, because it's not a boring topic actually at all. We're going to get into legislation against VPNs and legislation in general about internet safety, that they pose as internet safety, and what they really mean is internet regulation. And we're going to talk about VPNs and how they affect digital marketing and SEO. But first and foremost, we are filming this on May the 4th, so Zach had some marketing videos that he wanted to react to quickly. So do you want to intro this for us?
So yeah, I didn't actually watch the Super Bowl this year, but I saw this after the fact. This was the Mandalorian and Grogu movie Super Bowl spot.
Yes, so there's a new Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out this month, and this was the spot that aired on the Super Bowl.
Sometimes we choose our path. Other times the path chooses us.
So we got the Sam Elliott voice.
Through it all, we keep pushing forward, driven by a deeper purpose.
So you're watching the Super Bowl. You're sitting there and you're on your couch. You got your snacks and everything around you. I would assume this is a beer
The
commercial.
journey never gets any easier. The bond just gets harder to break. This is the way.
Only in theaters and IMAX May 22nd.
Okay, but Zach thinks that
that's a straight up Budweiser commercial.
Yeah, that's
so-
a freaking Budweiser commercial, dude. They just swapped out the Clydesdales with Tauntauns.
which I think was on purpose. You don't think that was intentional?
I don't know. It seems like they just wanted to have this be like a legit trailer for the movie.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it's intentional.
Yeah.
I think it's too dangerous. Super Bowl, like you don't want to totally rip off. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if they went to Budweiser and said, "Hey, can we just fully rip this off because people will think it's something else?"
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that's a big risk to just do it and pretend like it's an original idea when clearly.
So I like that the whatever thing they're in is hovering. It has the power to hover, but you still need animals to pull it to propel it.
That's a good point.
That's very.
I was
Star Wars
not
of
even
them.
paying attention to that. Yeah.
So I bring that up because a Star Wars movie is coming out this month.
Oh,
Yeah,
goodness
you
gracious.
gotta turn off autoplay, dude.
My fault.
A Star Wars movie is coming out in theaters this month. Have you heard anything about it?
Only my kids are like, Dad, 26th of May. Are you taking us to the theaters?
When did the
Heard.
Rise of Skywalker come out? That was like
December
right in the middle of
29
COVID.
29, right before. I think.
Yeah, it was
Right
it was
before.
right before.
Like during those 3 movies for like that 5-year span when that sequel trilogy was coming out, you could not escape it. It was everywhere. There were ads. They were in magazines. They were newspapers. It's just like I could not get away from Star Wars during that time, even though I hated the sequel trilogy.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You didn't see any of them in the theater, or did you?
So I saw the first one in theaters. I went to it and like I saw it. I'm like, this is basically the first movie, like the original movie.
Yeah.
And then the more I thought about it, the more I didn't like it. And I just over time, like it did not grow on me like the way they normally do.
Yeah.
And then the next one came out, and I just did not like that one at all.
Really? I always will like episodes 4, 5, and 6 the best. Probably like everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of butchered 1 through 3. So then when they came out with these other 3, they're not numbered, right? They're just,
No,
there's
it's
one-
6, 7, and 8.
7,
They
8,
are-
9.
7, 8, 9.
They are 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
So when they come out with those, I feel like they were much better than 1 through 3, but like today, we're not watching any of those. We'll just watch the original 3. That's it. Like, so I don't go back and watch them, but I just feel like they did a better job on them.
They had higher production value. I think they didn't have George Lucas micromanaging everything. But like I have not rewatched 8 or 9 since it came out. I think I rewatched episode 7 a couple of times to try and make myself like it.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's just a straight remake of the original one.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think it just production value was a lot better. The only reason, and I know Brock is going to hate me for this, but the only reason the problems I have with 7, 8, 9 and 1 through 3 are the characters. Like why is it Kylo Ren? Like he kind of comes off a little bit
Emo.
whiny.
Yeah.
And emo, yeah. Like he doesn't seem like he's not Darth Vader where he's like angry but with a purpose and kind of strong. He's kind of looks like, please don't throw a tantrum. Like he's just always throwing tantrums. And everyone's like, who gave the kid a lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with Anakin, I think, because he's just like kind of throwing a tantrum for the first 3 movies. He's like, hey, I'm kind of this cocky little kid and I'm going to learn the Force. And then he does. And then he's just like, I'm going to go after the hot queen and get her, but I'm going to be kind of a depressed, boy when I finally get her, I'm just going to like complain and be whiny. Like, I don't know. That was the only real reason. Like, there's a big argument to be made about Jar Jar Binks, but
Jar Jar is the key to all of it.
Exactly. But so that's the only reasons. To me, the originals, like you can't recreate like a Han Solo. You just like can't really do that. Like the way that the whole thing came together was just like good, and the other 6, it was just the characters were my only problem.
Yeah, like I think by the 3rd movie, like by Revenge of the Sith, they'd finally figured out what they were doing, but it was kind of too late. They were already 2 movies deep at that point. So I have fond memories of that one. The second one, I think when everybody thinks that the prequels are bad, I think it's because they're remembering the second one. But the first one, it's kind of boring. There's a lot of talking, and then suddenly you have 4 action scenes going on simultaneously.
Yeah.
But even back then, like the prequel trilogy, when it was coming out in the early 2000s, there were advertisements everywhere. They went absolutely crazy. It's like they had like 100 different action figures for it. They had like Mountain Dew cans that you could collect and things like that. They had Happy Meals, everything. And then with the sequel trilogy, same thing. It wasn't probably as big as far as like marketing. It's just because Star Wars is already everywhere at that point. But for this one, we have a Star Wars movie coming out this month. I've hardly seen anything. The only advertisement I've seen for it was on the Super Bowl. Everything else I've had to seek out.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? Why aren't they pushing this movie down our throats like they always do?
Because nobody wants it.
You think so?
I don't think anybody cares. I think everybody's tired of Star Wars because they've done so much damage to the brand. They've used it so much that everyone's like, okay. Because when Force Awakens came out, that was the first Star Wars thing, really. I guess you have the Clone Wars series, which was pretty good, but that was the first Star Wars movie since Revenge of the Sith. So it was like, what's that gap? Like, not 20 years.
2005, 10 years.
10
2005
years.
to 2016, I think. 15 or 16.
Yeah, and you had the hype of J.J. Abrams directing, and he was coming off the Star Trek movies that people liked, and so everyone was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great, and then...
He's going to do for Star Wars what he did for Star Trek.
Yeah, basically, and so the first one came out, and I think people were pretty, like, they were like, all right, yeah, this is good, and then 8 came out, and they were like, what the hell? And then 9 came out, and it was like...
So
I didn't
like,
watch
oh,
9.
of course the Emperor is cloning himself like that.
Somehow Palpatine returned. Greatest line in all of Star Wars.
Do you want me to ruin it for you, or like you're ever gonna watch it?
I've seen it. I didn't watch it in the theaters, but I watched all the Star Wars movies a couple of years ago, and I said, you know what, I gotta watch Rise of Skywalker, and it did not disappoint in being bad.
Yeah. Did you guys not see the holes in, like, if Palpatine was that smart, why would he put all of his clones in one spot and all of his like Earth destroyers, moon destroyers or whatever? They're not Star Destroyers, right?
Yeah, they're Star Destroyers with Death Star cannons on them.
Death Star cannons, right?
Yeah.
Let's put them all on one planet, so that way if one rebel can blow the planet up, like my whole plan's over.
Yeah,
It
it's
seems
just
a little like
brutal.
that
Dude
guy's
like that would have backup. He'd have redundancy.
exactly. I think so. I think he would be like, oh yeah, I have like a offsite. This is actually a VPN to the real planet.
Yeah. No, just I could go into the Star Wars sequels for hours, but they wasted Finn and Poe Dameron as characters. They set them up to be really cool. Really, really, the first movie, as much as it is a remake of A New Hope, I think it set up a lot of cool stuff. Then in 8,
They just threw
They
it
just
all in the trash.
destroy everything, ruin Luke's legacy as a character. By the way,
They massacred my boy.
they massacred my boy because he spends the entire original trilogy trying to see the good in Darth Vader, the most evil man on the planet, and like really ready to sacrifice his life.
And then they're like, I got an idea. Within the first
Yeah.
5 minutes, let's have overweight Luke sitting on a rock,
Yeah.
sucking on like milk, being like, I hate everybody, screw you.
Yeah,
Like,
and then the whole reason that we have a villain in the sequel trilogy is because he had a bad dream about this kid and just went to just go massacre, just go kill him.
Yeah, he was just gonna just cut his head off and sleep.
yeah.
And it's completely out of character. But anyways, we don't need
Good
it.
point, actually.
The prequels, by the way, I must defend. I think story-wise are incredible. Action-wise, I think are pretty peak. Like when I was a kid, that's what I grew up on. Really, I grew up on the original trilogy as well. First Star Wars movie I ever saw was Return of the Jedi. That's what made me fall in love. Was the Rancor scene because I thought it was so awesome. But then I went through a period of hating them because everyone else hated them, and now I'm starting to realize, oh, these are actually great story-wise. Dialogue-wise, George Lucas cannot write dialogue.
Homie can't write dialogue.
It's some of the worst I've ever seen. And obviously they were limited at the time with CGI, so that doesn't really hold up. But
If they had waited 10 years
yeah.
and had somebody else write it, I think we would have been better off.
So,
right?
have you ever read any of the original story treatments for it?
No, not for,
They are
not
awesome.
for 1 through 3. No.
There's some things like there's supposed to be like this kind of love triangle between Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme, to where she likes Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan's not interested, but Anakin likes her, and that kind of drives why he's so angsty and jealous of his master, is because the girl he's got the hots for has the hots for his master, and then Obi-Wan's trying to stay out of it.
See, that would have been better, especially if when she's trying to break up with Anakin, she's in her slave outfit and she's like, I was trying to seduce Obi-Wan, and you just saw me right now. I'm not trying to make this harder on you,
I just love, on the rewatch, I've rewatched them last year at the same time. I just love the dynamic between like the Jedi Council and Anakin, because the Jedi Council low key is in the wrong in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, they're just a bureaucracy. They're
So it's kind of hard to root for them, and it creates this interesting dynamic. But anyways,
Qui-Gon's the only one who knew what was going on.
Qui-Gon's the goat.
He was a maverick.
Obi-Wan, honestly, is also the goat.
He was just a yes man the whole time, dude.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah,
he was trying to uncover the conspiracy.
He was by the
bro.
book.
No. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know about. I can't weigh in on that one because by the end he's like, maybe they were trying to save it by burning Anakin alive. Like
What do you mean?
well, maybe they were like, okay, everybody, we need more action in this story, so we're not gonna just, let him get his legs cut off. We're gonna just like watch him in lava. And you guys seen those memes with the marshmallows that are like on the stove getting burned, and then they have the dub over of that scene, so you just hear him being like, "I
were my
hate
brother."
you."
I loved you.
Yeah, that exchange is also really great.
Yeah, and he's like, "I hate you."
Yeah, that's one of the few times where like the writing, I'm like, dang. All right.
This could be factual or not, but I remember watching like one of those Star Wars YouTubers who was explaining it. The original thought process there wasn't that he was just going to get sliced in half by Obi-Wan and fall in the burning pit. The lava thing was actually supposed to be a thing ever since, if you go back to like one of the original books that came out before Empire did, it references the lava planet, and that's why he was all burned. I think it's like Splinter of the Mind's Eye or something, which I don't think it's canon, but it's like, so that idea was in Lucas's head back in the 70s. But I think the original thought was Anakin was just going to get more and more turned into a robot. He was going to just be in battles. He'd get another limb cut off until he was more machine than man. And then he was eventually going to fall into the lava at some point and become all burned. But I guess they realized that they're like, oh, we forgot to cut off his legs and stuff. So let's just wrap it all up
Let's
in one
just
fight.
make him a robot in one Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the thing. That's why I wanted to bring it up since we're a marketing podcast because
Yeah.
like Star Wars is heavily marketed, but I've only seen the Super Bowl spot for that. I haven't seen it shoved down our throats in any other way. I'm like, are they just putting it out there because they've already spent all this money on it, and they're like,
Yeah, they could have spent that Super Bowl money a lot better.
Yeah, I really think it's because we had Rise of Skywalker, and then we had all these shows: the Kenobi show, the Boba Fett show, the Acolyte. I think the only good one was Andor. That was the only one that was received well in the last however many years, 5 years of shows. So I think people are just like, I don't.
And Andor, I think, really got its lift from Andy Serkis in that one. It's like in the first season because he did so well in it, and then it kind of helped the rest of the show gain momentum. I feel
I
like.
need to watch. I'm gonna watch.
Did you guys like Rogue One? The one that was just kind of like the random one off in.
When I've only seen it once, and
Yeah.
I think I was too young to get it. I think if I rewatched it, I would like it.
I didn't hate it. It's like
I mean, everybody dies, and I kind of like that. Like,
Yeah.
not in a that sounds weird, but like
Yeah.
you don't. Not everybody's always gonna make it.
like especially with Star Wars, they love like showing somebody get fatally wounded, and they're like, nah, they're fine.
Yeah. And so, but I also found that interesting that they took one line from one movie and made a whole movie about it. What's the line, Zach?
That was Return of the Jedi though, but the Bothans.
Yeah. Many Bothans died, getting us this data. That's the only like line, and then they were like, let's make a whole movie about all those guys who die.
Dude, one of the coolest Darth Vader scenes ever in Rogue
Yeah,
One.
so the original concept behind Rogue
yeah.
One is they were going to do a whole Star Wars movie without a single lightsaber showing up in it. And they did good until the very end. They're like, we got to have Darth Vader. Like,
Well, and
coolest
that's
part.
we it's like, that's a Darth Vader
Yes.
because he's just kind of like
He's pissed,
unstoppable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that the original we need to get off Star Wars, but that's something that like the original trilogy due to it's hard to foresee what Darth Vader was to become in later canon, but it's like he should be a lot more like bad. We'll cut that out, but
he's unstoppable in it. Like he
But-
just runs down a whole squad of
Yeah.
rebel troopers.
but in the original trilogy, it's kind of like
He shows up after the killing's already done. It's like he's
Yeah.
just the management at that point.
I feel like they did a good job though with his character because he's convinced. Like if you ever notice, he's just very even like 4, 5, and 6 and Rogue One. His dialogue's actually good. Like he like interrupts people where they're like, "Well, we're not sure," so he's like, "Get it done," kind of a thing, and he just walks off like he's like no nonsense.
Yeah.
But he gets he's very convincing to me. If you said, well, he's a depressed man with all this power who at this point has nothing left to live for. So he's just carrying out the rest of his life
Yeah.
as he knows it, but he's not like necessarily driven by anything.
yeah.
Like he doesn't seem like he's really into this. But he's doing it because
I
the
agree.
emperor's his master. So fine, I'll do it. But he's not like, even when they're like, hey, you need to convert Luke over the dark side. He's kind of just like, okay, because my master said so. And then Luke's like arguing with him, and he's like, well, I must obey my master. Like he's not even that convinced, but he's just like, what else am I supposed to do?
Sorry, Luke, I'm under NDA. I can't.
Yeah. So I thought that was actually pretty good because you're never really convinced that he likes being on the dark side, but you're also like, he comes across as like, I have no reason to go back to the light side.
just a company man
Yeah.
at that point. Zach, what is a VPN?
It is what were you saying? Verified.
Yeah, verified private
Verified.
network.
Virtual private network.
And what does that mean?
It means that you're not on a unvirtual public network. It means that you are like you're browsing the internet under the guise that you are someone or somewhere else.
What is an IP address?
It is basically the unique identifier for your device on your network that anybody else in the world could find you at.
Yes. So what does a VPN do?
So if you think of an IP address as like a home address, that's like if you're mailing somebody a letter, you have like the from address that you write on there. This is where it's coming from. Then you drop it in the mailbox. It can see where it came from. So like a VPN would be like if you were doing that, but you wrote somebody else's address on there and you mailed it from somewhere else that wasn't your house.
So when did VPNs always been a thing, or when did they kind of start coming to the forefront?
Honestly, I'm sure they've been a thing forever. Just since networking's existed, they've been more and more popular as geo restriction comes around for being able to only view certain things in certain areas.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You concur?
Yeah, and with anything that's like not just restrictions, but also for people who are trying to get data that would otherwise be adjusted based on your location. So people wanting to get, data about, data online that adjusts per location for multiple locations too. So, like with ChatGPT, everybody's going to get a different answer because it's learning what you want. So imagine the VPN would essentially make you just a nobody every time you do a search. So that way you're going to get the most broad answer every time instead of a catered one.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
So as that's come on where that's important, especially with marketing where people are like, how's my website doing? And if you go on Google, you look great because you're on your site all the time. So Google's like, it looks like you like this website, and they just keep showing it. So,
or even for us to like spot check stuff. So it's like if we have a client that's in Baltimore and I want to check and see how they're ranking without using a tool, if I just want to Google them, see where they come up just as a blind test, us being in Utah, and to get a completely irrelevant answer based on our location. Whereas if we go in through a VPN, set it to Baltimore and Google it in an incognito browser or whatever with no profile attached to it, we're going to see a lot more realistic answer on how those rankings are doing because of the location-based search results.
So we kind of touched on it, but what would an average person use a VPN for? Like, why would a normal Joe like me want to use a VPN?
Netflix.
Yeah, to unlock geo-locked stuff. So if you wanted to see things that aren't available in the United States on Netflix, you would do that. If you wanted to use your parents' Netflix login and look like you're at their house, you'd use a VPN for it. Things like that.
And it's a lot cheaper in other countries too. So a lot of people will use it just to show like, hey, I'm in, frankly, any other country like South America. And then they get access to a bunch of other shows, but it's also a lot cheaper.
There's some random country that it's illegal to show YouTube ads on, I think. So if you set your location to that country, you won't get ads on YouTube.
Interesting. So yeah, that's kind of where I first heard about this was because I was a child watching Netflix and there was some shows I wanted to watch and it was like, no, you can't watch this. And I don't understand why that is. Is there just like different licensing in different countries?
I'm pretty sure that's what the bulk of it is. If Netflix wanted to show it to you, and they could, they would.
Yeah.
Because they'd be more beneficial for them. But it's just the fact that they're legally not allowed to show it to you in that country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used a VPN as a young man to watch. I don't remember what it was. Probably some Asian movie or something. But that's what most people use them for day to day. But they're also important for now. I'm getting into. I don't want to be tracked by these companies. I'm sick of my data being sold. So I've been using a VPN constantly when I'm browsing the internet because, I don't want people to know who I am or where I am. Maybe I'm in Sweden. Maybe in Australia. You'll never know. But let's get into
Or
this.
maybe your real location, Austin, Texas.
Yeah. Exactly. You'll never see me coming.
That's right.
Okay, but then I was looking online today for things to talk about on this show, and I saw that Utah is passing a bill.
I think it did pass. I don't know.
Did actually, yes, you're right.
They like to pass things without telling everybody what they're doing.
Yeah. Governor Cox, please resign. Okay. Zach, you've heard about this bill, yeah? What is your understanding of it?
So Utah being Utah, the main, I guess, public purpose of it that they're to get support for it to pass would be to help prevent people from getting around age verifications. So Utah is one of the states who's passed things to where if you have any kind of like adult website, you need to go through like an age verification thing in order to do it. A lot of them, the huge, I guess, mainstream legit sites, if you want to call them legit, you can't even go to them in Utah. Just it'll say, hey, you're in Utah, you're not allowed to do this without going through age verification. And to do that, you have to like upload your government ID and all that stuff, which I think most people are like, yeah, I don't want to upload my ID to this.
I don't want anybody
website
to know that I'm wanting to see this crap.
Yeah.
I don't want them to know that I'm like into Willy Wonka fanfic stuff here. So that's led to the rise of VPNs. So you turn on your VPN and you say, yeah, I'm in Nevada. I'm one state over where it's not illegal there. I don't have to do age verification. The adult site's like, cool, you're in Nevada. We don't give a crap. So this law is meant to basically help try and circumvent that because they basically, the main, I think, text of it's like, if you're in Utah, you should be held to Utah rules and standards, which means you have to do age verification if you want to visit these types of websites. Which, I mean, honestly, I'm fine with that reasoning. But if you think about it, and what most people are thinking about is that's not the reason for it. It's more of a reason to track people online and track their activities. So the main law says that you can't, or the main part of the bill says that you can't, if I'm one of these companies that's running an adult website, I can't guide my users to use a VPN service to get around the geolocation, like the geofencing of it.
Yeah.
I can't say, hey, I know you're in Utah. It's a shame there's no such thing as a VPN that you could just use to circumvent these restrictions. Yeah. It's basically putting the responsibility on these companies to basically not coax or advise people to do that in order to get around age verification stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the ethics there? Because I saw somebody mentioned that by doing that, are you hindering free speech at all by saying to these companies that you cannot tell your visitors about VPNs?
I guess that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. So VPNs are perfectly legal to use. There's no law against them. But you're telling these companies you cannot educate your users that they exist.
Doesn't that seem a little bit strange?
A little bit. Yeah.
Whatever happened to the Constitution of the United States of America?
Yeah.
It's more of a thing, say, if I'm a major political person, if I'm in office and I know there are people out there saying bad things about me and I have the ability to basically say, hey, who's saying these things about me? Where are they? We don't want them using VPNs. I want to know where they are. Help me nail that down so I can do something about it. That's, I think, the fear that most people are having with this by being forced to be more and more public online.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of these, and we can talk about some instances, but in a broader sense, the government uses a lot of fear tactics. On the internet, it's usually targeted towards children. They want to protect children on the internet, but that's never really the case. But they use these fear tactics to push these laws into effect, and people just gladly accept them because usually it's at a time of panic. For example, the Patriot Act. 9/11 happens, and the government says, hey, we need some more security. Mm-hmm. Let's establish the Patriot Act. And everyone's like, yes, yes, please. And they're like, really?
Patriot, I'm all for that.
Yeah, really? Even if we just really quickly push it through Congress without really looking over it? Yeah, sure, whatever. Just please protect us.
Yeah, I've got nothing to hide. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, that argument really gets my goat, man.
Yeah, it's a terrible argument because, to me it would be like, here's my way of shooting that argument down. It's like, cool, you've got nothing to hide. I have teenage children in my home. So does that mean that since I'm not ashamed of anything, that anybody should be able to look through windows, bathroom windows, whatever they want? Because I've got nothing to hide. But what about just the general idea of basic privacy?
Yeah.
Like maybe I don't have anything to hide, but maybe I don't want the entire town I live in camping in my front lawn with my doors and windows open because I'm not embarrassed by anything. But everybody's got to take a dump. Everybody wants to make love to their spouse, right? So it's like maybe a little privacy is actually normal. And I mean, we're speaking in hypotheticals, but maybe if I'm working on a project, a movie or something like that, right? If you're working on a movie, maybe you don't want that all out. Maybe you don't want your scripts out on the internet just because you have no right to any privacy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, there's also this thing called investigative journalism too, where like journalists they'll investigate things. They'll break news on something. They'll blow the whistle on things.
Yeah.
And in order to do a lot of that, you have to keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
You can't really divulge that until you're at the right point. You've gathered enough evidence. You're ready to publish it. If there's somebody say somebody you're investigating is in a position where they can see through that window, and they can basically shut you down before you're at a point to reveal this to the world. So again, I mean, that is a free speech argument there.
Yeah.
We have these files, these Jeffrey Epstein files.
Yeah.
We're going to release them in a few years.
Yeah.
Not so that everybody can have time to figure out what they're going to do, but
Exactly.
there's just a lot of things we need to look into.
Yeah. We need to make sure that the victims are protected. There's another instance where they say stuff like that. We really care about the victims. We want to make sure they're protected.
They're already victims, which means they weren't protected, which means they've already been scarred. So let it out.
And then most of the names that were blotted out were actually the oppressors.
Yeah.
And a lot of the victims' names went
Blotted.
redacted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's another instance that a lot of people actually don't know about is this last year with Palantir, Peter Thiel, friend of the show.
Oh boy.
Palantir developed something called Immigration OS, working with ICE. Palantir has access to every database. That's their thing. There's no restrictions on the data, so they basically have full, deep data profiles on everybody. And they used this last year to create something called Immigration OS that ICE used to track down illegal immigrants and deport them. And so a lot of people, specifically on one side of the political aisle, were very gung-ho about this. They were like, hell yeah, get those immigrants out of here. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, sure, but also, do you not think that this is going to be used on you soon? Like, this is a beta testing right now.
Yeah, I mean, you use it for lawful purposes. That's how you get public support for it. You're like, I'm on the side of the law here. I'm getting the bad people out. I'm doing all this. They're not just going to delete the tool once all the bad people are gone. They're going to basically be like, okay, now what's the next step? What else can I use this on?
Yeah, it's a lot of Trojan horsing these laws into place. Like Britain, I think the UK is having a lot of trouble with this right now with like internet regulation, because they passed a Child Safety Act like 2 years ago or something, and then immediately started restricting videos of what was going on in Gaza and started censoring all this stuff about Israel and Palestine. And it's such a clear motive that they have, ulterior motive. And so that's what is kind of frightening with stuff like this, that it's happening in Utah. And people are probably going to be on board with it because it's against something that's pretty bad. Like, you don't want kids looking at these sites, obviously.
I mean, that's a softball right there. It's like, hey, what do people in Utah hate? They hate porn websites. So let's pass a bill through that'll help restrict those. That's a good thing to go through with. But then it's like, okay, now that that's done, what's the next step here? How can we further?
Let's make it so you can't access the internet at all unless we have all your information.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting more and more like that. Like, I think YouTube in somewhere is doing. Weren't you telling me about this age verification for YouTube?
Yeah, and this is, I think, an EU thing. I think it was just Google in general to have like an account there. You had to, and I can't remember if they rolled it back because of backlash or if they're still doing it. There are certain cases, like with my account, I've had it for like 15 years, so it's like they would automatically assume that I'm of age. I wouldn't have to go through any verification thing for it. Yeah. But they were doing that, and then Discord was the other one. In order to use Discord, they wanted to do age verification, which Discord is a big thing that people use to just communicate peer-to-peer, to where there's no big brother spying on you. And if suddenly you have to have your driver's license attached to your Discord profile, because there's a lot of fan communities use Discord to talk about things. And, maybe it's something that you're passionate about. Maybe you have like this Star Wars fan club or something that you're in, but you don't want people thinking that you're a Disney shill. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it gets scary when they're asking for more and more information like that to be able to even just use these tools. But this one's interesting because it's holding the websites liable for people who are trying to skirt around the age verification using VPNs. But what can websites do realistically to combat that? Really nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really know that any of them are actually doing it. The ones that I constantly hear about are things like in like YouTube ad reads where people are saying like, yeah, get this insert VPN here and you can watch Netflix or Disney Plus in other countries or something. I've never heard anybody, which I mean, maybe I'm out of the loop because I'm not part of their target audience, but I've never heard anybody talking about that, use a VPN to get around like age restrictions and things like that.
Yeah.
Mostly just I would assume it would be common knowledge if you wanted to.
Yeah, but how is a company going to be held liable for something that they can't control? Like, you can't control if somebody uses a VPN.
Basically, they have to release a public statement saying we do not condone the use of a VPN to get around state regulations. And that's basically, I think if you read the meat of the bill, that's basically what it's about.
Yeah, apparently Meta they've threatened to shut off Instagram and Facebook in New Mexico because New Mexico is trying to propose essentially for social media sites like age verification. And because they have no way of knowing if like a kid is using a parent's phone and all that, they're like, we're going to be liable for all this stuff. So they're kind of putting it back on like the people saying, you're just not going to be able to use Instagram or Facebook in New Mexico. And I really don't know what's going with that because part of me kind of enjoys the idea of Meta falling, but so I don't really care. Like, oh, poor you guys. So who cares?
I kind of enjoy the idea of having to age verify to get on Facebook. That would like strip down their user base to like, it would like take it down to like 1% of its active user base.
Yeah.
So it's the theory that's in play here, because if companies are being punished for people using VPNs to skirt around the age verification, number one, how do you prove that? But number two, the only way to combat that, what is this called? Logistically speaking, is to block VPN, like known VPN IPs. But then the problem with that is
that's not doable.
It's not, because they're constantly changing, and it turns into a game of.
That's like trying to get rid of
whack-a-mole.
bed bugs, getting rid of one bed bug at a time. It's not feasible.
And also the other fear is that if you start just blocking IPs, you're going to eventually run into like blocking normal people's IP addresses, right?
Yeah.
So it's just no good, dude. And I don't know what's going on with this state.
Ultimately, like,
If we want,
it's more of a nothing burger because literally all they have to do is just it forces a bunch of companies to release a press release saying, yeah, it'd be a real big shame if people were using VPNs to get around state laws.
This article's insinuating that they're gonna be like actively punished if people do.
I think this is step one. Basically, these guys can go back and say, hey, we are not actively condoning this.
Yeah.
We're saying we don't support it. We're telling people to not do that. We have no control over what end users do. This is ultimately, I don't think anything will come of this. It's more or less a scare tactic to try and make people afraid of it. Be like, oh, it's now legal to use a VPN to view this bad website.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it. It may have some effect there, but I think it's going to be minimal. It's ultimately, I think, just step one in just advancing legislation towards a more highly like restrictive police state to where they'll basically be able to view everything at a root level.
The age of surveillance capitalism, guys.
Well, let's bring this back to Star Wars, though. Which Jason's not in here. He's seen The Bad Batch. I don't think either of you have.
Okay. No, I haven't.
So this was a series I liked. It was one of the animated ones. But it's like it takes place literally around like Order 66, which is like where Emperor shows his true colors, kills all the Jedi, everything. Spoilers. But what I think that show does really good is it shows how terrifying like a police state like that can be. Because one of the first things they start doing is they start basically assigning chain codes to every citizen in the galaxy to make it to where you can't travel unless you show this. And then they basically run that through this massive database. Just make sure you're not like a known conspirator. Make sure you're not saying bad things about the Empire. Make sure you're not like a Jedi in hiding and things like that. So it makes you afraid for the main characters because obviously they're all rebels and they're trying to like lay low and everything like that. But it's like you kind of equate that to real life. This is kind of step one on getting onto that path to basically being like, okay, everybody's going to have this unique fingerprint online to where ultimately fast forward 20 years, whoever's at the top is going to be able to know everything everybody's doing down at the bottom, and it basically crushes any sort of, I don't want to say rebellion or resistance, but it crushes any sort of opposition, and that's how single-party systems get formed. If you think a two-party system's bad, think about a single-party system.
Oh yeah.
Do you think there's any chance that VPNs are just completely outlawed in the future?
I don't know.
What are the odds? Of that?
I mean, I could see people pushing for it. People are pushing for it right now. Mm-hmm. It would need a lot of support to get through.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that as some people's goals is to outlaw VPNs, but
Well, and I don't think, like, good luck, because they're going to have to outlaw all of the AIs as well. Because let's say, most people just want to go to a company, pay a subscription, get access to all their IP addresses and their VPN, right? But we're turning just everyday people into coders now, developers. How hard would I guarantee if we went on Claude in about 5 hours, we could probably set up our own ability to, broadcast out a fake IP address and ping it across multiple, networks so that it looks like we're somewhere else.
Yeah.
So imagine if people now are so much more tech savvy than when I got into this. When I got into this, I was like the abnormal person. They're like, whoa, you understand this?
Yeah.
You must be a genius, right? And now, because everybody's getting access, I see it as like a very dangerous thing where as we're getting all these tools, a lot of people would just be like, I'll just build my own.
I mean, it's kind of cool in a way. Like, I know we've talked about AI and what is this called? Like, what is this word? Not what I was just doing, but what is that thing called where it's like evening the playing field sort of deal?
Oh yeah,
Just
like
that.
getting rid of monopolies kind of a thing? Or is
Yeah, it's,
going back to that, or
what's the opposite of monopolizing? Centralizing? Whatever.
equalizing maybe?
Yeah, it's like equalizing the.
I don't know what you're getting at here, Brock.
Yeah.
No, I think I get what you're saying. You're basically like leveling the playing field. You're like taking the power away from like the people who went to school for 13 years to learn how to be master hackers and stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to say centralizing because to me there's something cool about that in some cases, and I know that's probably hypocritical. Like, obviously, to me, the art thing is like, okay, learn how to do art. I'm just gonna say that's just hypocritical. That's just my bias. But it's cool that if tools like these were going to be taken away by some power, we're not left. How do I say this non-explicit? We're not left with our pants down around our ankles, and we have the ability to go and make our own. It's like me personally, I was sick of being. How do you say this non-explicitly? It's been too long of a weekend. I was sick of being treated poorly by streaming services, and so I built my own streaming service with the help of Cloud AI. Helped me learn how to do that, and I am working to do more and more stuff like that because I'm just tired of companies just having all the power.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of cool that it's centralized. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing too is, like, Zach and I have a pretty strong tech background, strong enough that going back to the privacy thing, like if we wanted to, we could buy a few computers, hook them up in the office, unplug all the Wi-Fi capabilities, and no Ethernet, no nothing to connect it to the internet. All it is just a power cord. We could download all these websites onto these computers, and then this computer has an IP address. Then, if we wanted to, we could run Ethernet cables out to, and I'm thinking through this real time, but essentially some way to just locally broadcast and allow people to just, I don't know, like a private network, right? Where people can.
Some kind of virtual?
Yeah, like a virtual private network for only the city, right?
Say that again?
Exactly. But no, think about it, like, you can join computer, you can get on the same network as a computer. We could let's just say, to keep it simple, we plug an Ethernet cable from us to the people next door. They plug from themselves to the people next door, and you're running Ethernet. You could actually just have a citywide internet that is not actually on the grid at all.
No, that is called an intranet.
Intranet, right?
Whoa.
So maybe the intranets are going to come back because people will say, well, we'll just go completely offline. We can do whatever we want in our city by making ourselves completely private. Now, again,
Wait, what?
Now you're going to have to count on like the city officials to not want power because all these city officials are just like Cox. Oh no, we're not going to get in the way. I'm not getting paid for this. No, but we're going to pave the way. So I think that's going to be pretty tough. But if like right now, any tools I use that are online that I really like, if I own the website, I can just download them on my computer, take it offline, and I can still use the tool. So imagine if, we download all of our songs, movies, things like that, put it on an intranet, essentially and we share it with just our city or our town or our neighbors only. You could probably get most of the tools that you like online and then just unplug anyway.
It'd be interesting, like if somebody took that concept, but then somehow took it global, and then there were 2 internets.
Yeah.
And then, more and more people do that. So there's not just one internet, there are multiple internets.
Make like a Bitcoin type internet where it's like you can't take it down, you can't really track it, and it's just like bugs all the people who want power because they're like determined to have power over everything.
We'll be real, China did basically that. Like they have their own internet basically that's different than our internet. So it's like they have their own countrywide intranet type thing.
I'll tell you what it's called, but you got to bleep it out.
What?
It's called. Get it? Good.
Yeah, bleep that.
Really? Okay.
Come on, that was funny.
All right. Interesting.
Apparently, only funny to me. And half sack.
Interesting conversation, guys. Any other thoughts before we wrap this up?
I thought we were going to leave this in the how do VPNs affect marketing.
How do VPNs affect marketing?
In every way. I mean, really, it's marketing. Think about it. Like the most powerful marketing right now is Meta because they know everything about you. They know how you spend, what you spend your time on, all that, right? If you mask yourself, they're powerless.
Yeah.
So VPNs essentially are like the worst nightmare of marketing.
Really?
Because your targeting is screwed.
Are you anti-VPN?
No, like to me, I'm more interested in the greater good than I am about like my job. Because let's say everybody was super private, what would we do? Oh, we'd go back to billboards, like where people are like, yeah, I don't need tampons, but I'm seeing this billboard because they don't know who's looking at it.
Yeah.
Unless I have a nosebleed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what they actually make those now?
Nosebleed tampons?
Yeah, so like tampons are great for nosebleeds, and they kind of figured that out. So now they actually make like smaller tampons that are like for the nose when to stop nosebleeds. There's like nothing different. It's really funny. It's like a little tiny piece of cotton with a string. Yeah. They didn't even like try to adjust it. They just renamed it and put it on the top shelf above tampons. It's the funniest thing.
You just reminded me of like a core memory of the first time, like the only time I ever got to go into the girls' bathroom in high school was to get a tampon because this kid got like his freaking nose just like caved in basically.
Dang.
And like the teacher tells me, he's like, dude, go get him like a thing from the girls' bathroom. I'm like, and at this point, I'm like this dumb 14-year-old. I'm like, get what?
What is it?
He's like, no, this is what it looks like. Just go in there, just get it. I'm like, okay, I'm down. I go in there and I'm just like, I was expecting to walk into another world. I don't know what I was expecting, but I'm like, yeah, this looks just like the boys' bathroom. So.
Yeah. So wait, like got in a fight and guy's nose caved in?
Yeah, pretty bad fighting though.
Oh.
Right by the gym. So
would I know who this is?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Would I?
You might.
Say his name.
No.
We'll bleep it out.
No.
What? All right,
Dude.
Let's turn this off. Then I want to know.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Comment down below. Or if you want to just be a part of the conversation, we'll read your comments on next week's episode.
And please follow without a VPN so that we can remarket to you.
Yeah, please. Please don't use a VPN when you're interacting with our content.
Has my helmet not been in frame this whole time, dude?
Oh, no.
Zach, I guess not. I didn't know that was your goal. I'm sorry.
I had it on originally. So
I assumed it was the goal, and I thought it was in frame.
I thought it was in frame. I couldn't quite see it because the lens is in the way.
All right. Thanks. Goodbye. Love you.
See ya.